We'll wait for 5 minutes and then we can decide whether we can take it today or next Monday or Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I know it will be a problem for you guys. We're just waiting for a couple of people. I'm sorry for that. Right, let's get started. Sorry guys for the late. Hope you are able to hear me properly.
Yeah.
Good. Let me try to share my screen. Just give me 1 second. So, as you know that this, this topic that we are going to discuss is basically on the Salesforce DevOps engineer and what are the tools that we have as a part of a Salesforce DevOps engineer and which is a tool that we are going to learn as a part of this particular course. So as you know that we are going to learn Copado complete end-to-end in this particular training session. And also with respect to the deployment sprint, two types of deployments. One is using the metadata deployment using Copado, and other is metadata deployment, SFDX deployment using Copado as well. And in Copado, we are going to cover the data deployment sprint as well in Copado. With respect to Copado tool, how to install a package, and then how to create a pipeline, and from beginning to end, this when I say beginning to end, creating a pipeline, and then connecting the branches, post connecting the branches, and then doing the required setup. So everything we are going to discuss on the Copado front. And coming to the refresh activity process, like as a part of a Salesforce DevOps engineer, as you know that we have, let me go top and then let me try to give you a high level demo on what exactly the Salesforce DevOps engineer is there and why the DevOps engineer role is needed in the market and why it is so important. So as you know, the Salesforce earlier, they have a deployment methodology called change sets earlier in 2009 and 2010 and then 11 as well. Later what happened was the change set, we cannot see the metadata file, and also there is some complexity where the deployments are not happening proper way with using the change sets, where Salesforce has introduced a tool called Ant. To say that with Ant we can do the deployments. That means they have given Ant a tool with build properties file where we can declare our credentials and build.xml file where we can define our variables to do the deployment, and using Ant commands using Java we can do the deployment using Ant. So what is the difference between change sets and Ant is basically on high level. In change sets, what are the metadata that you are going to deploy from one org to another org? It is hidden. You cannot see anything what's happening behind the scenes. But when it comes to Ant, you know that what you want and what you are trying to deploy. So as it is as simple as that, you can edit the package.xml, and also you can edit the retrieval file, and you can edit the metadata file. For example, if you want 10 lines of code only and other lines of code has to be removed, then in that case you can go and you can edit it. But when it comes to change sets, you don't have that option. It will take from the org and it will do the deployment from the org. When it comes to Ant, you can have that flexibility. But why this Copado tools came into picture and why you need this Copado tool, and we have different tools also in the market, right? So later, what happened is like the developer size got increased. When I say developer size is increased, because of the project size. Let's say I'm taking one of the project where we have Sales Cloud, Service, Community Cloud, and we have e-commerce, and we have CPQ. Let's say we have Marketing Cloud and some managed packages. And the developer size is around 10 people, or let's say, or 30 people, let's say. And testing another 5 people, and yeah, this is your overall size around 35 people you have. And we have different sandboxes called Dev, INT, Stage, and then Prod. Let's say salesperson is working on one of the component. He is doing a development in dev instance. Service also working. He is also doing same thing in dev. Community cloud person also doing. He is also doing same thing here. Let's say all people are working on same class called demo. If they're working on the same class, what happens is that first salesperson is doing a deployment to INT and service, he'll override and the community cloud, he will do override, and e-commerce person, he will do override. Because the deployment is happening using chain sets and they're doing from dev to INT and then to stage and then to prod, they're overriding the components. Then AND came into picture. People try to edit the package.xml and they're trying to do the deployment. They know what they are doing it, but they don't have any version control in place where they're checking the changes there and then somebody is reviewing your code and then the PR is approved, suppose that the deployment is happening. No, there is no such process. Then that's where you got Git into the market. I mean, Git is already available. Then you have different tools called Bamboo, Bitbucket, Actions, GitLab pipelines, and Jenkins, and Azure. But if I want to know this Bamboo, Bitbucket, Actions, GitLab pipelines, Jenkins, Azure, I have to be an DevOps engineer who knows scripting, and also I have to write YAML files, etc. And I need to know Docker, Kubernetes, etc. We need to know everything with respect to if you want to build any pipeline in Bamboo or a Bitbucket Actions or a GitLab pipelines or a Jenkins or an Azure. Of course, Azure we can do in a different way as well, but you have to know the basic concepts here if I want to set up any pipeline. But as a Salesforce engineer, I don't know this to build a pipeline, and I need an external person to come into picture, and they have to build a pipeline. So let's say an XYZ person, like ABC person comes and he build a pipeline for using a Bamboo, and he written different plans. Now he said to developers, all Salesforce developers, go to commit, do a commit to the feature branch, make some changes, and do the deployment. And deployment is automatic. But this Salesforce guys, that doesn't know Git. The problem is the business doesn't know Git. They doesn't know how to do a commit changes and how to resolve the conflicts. They doesn't know anything, and the problem starts there. And they're looking for a tool where they can escape from all this kind of mess. I mean, instead of doing manual kind of Git merges or raising a pull request, maintaining your branches and all this stuff. So that's where you got different tools. I mean, you got Salesforce native tools in the market. One is Copado, another is Gesit, and another is Flowsum. And I think these are the, and another is AutoRabbit, but AutoRabbit is built on top of Java, not onto Salesforce. It is not native to Salesforce. When I say native to Salesforce, if you know Salesforce basics, Copado is very easy. That means a small example, if you take a mobile, an iOS application, all Apple phones are built on iOS, whereas all Android phones using the system. When I say the backend, I mean the system which it uses is Android Lightning system. Whereas in iOS it has iOS. I mean in Apple it has iOS version. So if you take iPad, it is compatible to iOS. If you take Apple Mac laptop, it is compatible to iOS. So that means who knows how to use Apple, I mean how to use iOS, it is very useful for them, or it is very easy for them to operate all these desks. I mean they can operate iPad, they can operate mobile phone, they can operate laptop. It is very easy, because if you take Windows, it is completely different when it comes to Mac. For example, let's say if you want to open a folder in Windows, you use Windows E. But in case of iOS, right, you have a command button where you have to put command E. So complete context is different. In the same way, you take an example of Salesforce in the same thing. So Copado is built on top of Salesforce. That means Copado is using Salesforce object and it leverages the Salesforce Apex, and it is used, it is using Git backside. When I say backside, in the backend, it uses Git extensively, and the Git merging process and the Git rollback process and Git commit changes process, and everything is in automatic way. You don't need to do anything. It's just a drag and drop options. You just need to click on some of the buttons to get this work. It is as simple as that, but only problem is that with respect to the debugging part, that is also we are going to discuss as a part of this, the complete program that we have as a part of the Copado package. So we are going to discuss on what are the issues that you are facing when you are trying to do some of the changes with respect to Copado. But trust me, I am using this tool from a long time, and I have seen a lot of advantages with this tool, where with respect to conflict resolution, with respect to Delta deployments, with respect to rollback process, with respect to reporting thing, and with respect to connecting the integrations with Jira, or connecting with Asana, or connecting with Azure, ADO, to say. It is very flexible, and you can integrate with CodeScan, you can integrate with Sonar, you can integrate with a lot of tools, external tools also, and you can invoke some of the scripts also, and then you can do data deployments, you can do robotic testing. There are a lot of things available in Copado. So initially they started with a small package, and then they leveraged, and then they keep on modifying every upgrade. They are going to upgrade everything, something. Let's say if you have some issue which is coming up in the next release, they are going to fix that. So that way they keep on improvising their product, but still it has some pros and cons. For every product it has that, right? So in Copado also has it's having that. So let's come to the topic here, where we stop here. So the DevOps tools which we have in the market is these are the tools, and why Copado came into picture, because of the people doesn't know Git. To be frank, that is the main reason where people want to use Copado. And one more thing is that with respect to the licensing, it is very costly when it compared to other tools which we have a maintenance process. Let's say if you have a issue in Bamboo, you need to have a DevOps engineer who is very good at fixing the Bamboo plans, who is good at scripting, and who is good at this YAML file set. They can resolve it very easily, right? But when it comes to Copado, right, those issues are pretty straightforward. You don't need to edit any scripts or anything. It's just some of the workarounds that you need to do to get an issue resolved. Now let's focus on the topics that we are going to discuss as a part of this complete program. That how to do a deployment using Copado, and how to validate the changes, and what are the quality gates, like how to integrate this with CodeScan or a PMD tool, and how to integrate this with Git, and also how to resolve the conflicts manually, and also you have a smart way of conflict resolution, and you have an auto resolve conflict as well, where you can just Copado can do the things for you. And the post-refresh steps in Copado, how to do, and the connection behaviors. Connection behaviors is nothing but the automatic way of doing the deployments. So you don't need to do, but you don't need to click on any other buttons. You just need to click on submit button. That's it. Boom. Automatic the deployment takes place to all environments. You can write some kind of connection behavior logics. All these are configuration steps. We are not writing any code. And you are using a back promotion strategy where if you want to move the code from one org to another org, I'll show you the pipeline, different pipeline also, why the back promotion is needed. And compliance analysis. Let's say if your profile is having any modifiable data permission, by using this compliance analysis, it will scan and it will stop you that particular deployment. And you can write some of the flow triggers as well if you are really interested. And now let's come back to the Salesforce refresh activity process. So As a part of Copado, whatever the topics which I told in the top right, you're going to learn on the metadata deployment and also on the SFDX part deployment as well, like deployments using metadata format and also SFDX format. Why I'm stressing SFDX format is the deployment is different here. I mean to say, when I say deployment is different, the page is different. The snapshot page and also the commit changes page, it is different from SFDX format to the metadata format. Okay, and just a moment. When it comes to Salesforce refresh activity process, you have different steps. So the thing is that as a part of this demo, right, why I'm stressing on the refresh activity process, because this is not something you will learn outside. This is something, this comes up when you are part of an organization and when you want to implement something like a sandbox refresh activity. What are the sandbox refresh steps? Why you need a sandbox refresh? And post refresh, what are the steps that you need to execute? And what is the single sign-on configuration and how you need to enable that single sign-on? And what is a connected app and how do you create those connected apps? And also the change request process. When I say change request process, like when you're trying to do a deployment from one out to, to production, there will be a change request process. You need to raise and you need to get some approvals, and also the Salesforce data masking. So when you refresh your full copy sandboxes from production to lower, then you'll have a data mask you have to do post the deployment is done. I mean to say the post sandbox refresh is done to make sure your production data is not copied and shown in your lower orgs. Let's say, take an example of Aadhaar number. If your Aadhaar number is there in production, if it is there showing in lower instance, that means it's a compliance thing. People should not see that kind of data which is there in production. So we have to do the data masking, and also some of the backup tools that we have in the market, own backup, and Oda7 Commvault. There are some other tools which is available, and Own is one of the tool where you can. I have pretty much experience on backing up the data using Own, and also doing a sandbox seeding using Own backup, and also some of the monitoring tools like Splunk or Logic Monitor, etc. So we are not going to discuss anything with respect to monitoring tools, but I'm going to give a brief introduction on the monitoring tools. And when it comes to the backup, right, we are going to discuss on the Own, but not onto the Oda7 Commvault. I have written the tools here because those are the tools that are available in the market, and Own is the major tool that people are using more compared to Oda7 or Commvault, right? And what is the cadence of the release? How frequently you're doing a deployments to production? Is it a 2 weeks release or a 4 weeks release, or it's a monthly release or it's a quarterly release, etc. So we are going to discuss on that as well. And also on the tools front, Workbench, Chainsets, and Ant, it is deprecated. What happened is that in Salesforce summer upgrade, Salesforce said no support to Ant going forward. They are not going to support Ant in any way. And you have GitHub repo, Bitbucket, GitLab, Gitbash, GitHub Desktop, VS Code, Code Builder. So we are going to discuss in all these tools, and we are going to talk about how to do the deployments using these tools. And also we are going to learn Azure DevOps with SFDX deployment. That means we are going to write one simple YAML file script where we deploy the code to the Salesforce environment using Azure DevOps. So for that also we are creating a pipeline and we are doing an automatic deployments. And also with respect to data loads, we are going to discuss on the Salesforce extension tools called Inspector, where we are doing a data load for few of the objects in Salesforce. Like for example, if you want to insert account object record or a contact object record or an parent-child relationship objects data, we are going to discuss that as a part of data loading front. And here one more topic which I have to update here, Salesforce data deployments. If I want to do a data movement from one org to another org using Copado, that also we can do it using Copado, that we are going to discuss here. I'll stop here. Any questions do you have at this point of time? I know it's completely new, but just want to know that do you have any questions at this point of time?
Hi, Chandra, Mani here. Actually, what is the prerequisite for this course?
You need to learn just Salesforce basic admins, like what is profile, user, and what is setup. That's it. Like it's like 1 hour or 2 hours kind of a thing, trial head module where you can just explore that. That is enough. You don't need much.
The thing is that I'm asking, actually, I am working as a Azure Cloud Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the DevOps part, so if you go into the open source DevOps or Azure DevOps, there is a lot of tools we come to know that to become the expert in the DevOps side. So is it the same for Salesforce DevOps also? We are going to learn several tools like Git, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible.
No, but see, that is completely a complete DevOps package which you are saying. But here, you don't require all those tools to do the deployments. We have everything embedded in a single tool, where the tool will help you to do the deployment. When you say Git is already embedded in Copado. I mean to say, when you're doing a Git commit outside, you use Git commit, and then you give a message, and then you put the changes, and you do a Git commit using a Git bash. And this command, Copado uses internally, and they have written a programming language. They've used Git, and this commit process is completely different in Git, where they'll give you a button called commit changes button. So you just need to click on that button. You don't require that what is happening behind the scenes, but what they will say is that you just need to click on this button to have your commit of your components. If you want to do a deployment, you will push your changes to your branch, and then that's where your Azure or Jenkins job will get picked up based on the script that you have written, whether it is an YAML file or it is a shell scripting which you are writing. It will invoke, and then you need an runner for this to run your, and also it should be hosted somewhere where you should run it. And you need to have multiple runners as well, because if you want to run parallel executions. And here you don't need anything, those stuff. They just give you a deploy button. You need to click on the deploy button. Automatically the deployment takes place. What are the changes that you have as a part of the story, it will take place. So let me go back to the Copado and let me show you one story. You will understand.
So it means no scripting or programming language is needed to become the
That's correct. I need to reset my password. Yeah, you don't require anything like as you asked me, right? Like Docker or Kubernetes. You don't need to learn any subtools. You just need to have a Salesforce admin basics, like what is users, what are profiles, and setup. Like how to go here and there. Let's say if somebody is asking, open an object. In Salesforce, I will open object. You have to go to setup, and from there setup, you have to go to object manager, and from there you can see objects. And somebody is asking to open a user story. So how you need to open? You have to log into Salesforce, go to App Launcher, and search for user stories. So I mean to say that you just need to know the Salesforce basics, and Copado already you're going to discuss in this topic, right? So based on that, you will understand that, okay, user stories, where I have to go, I have to click on this app launcher, okay, this is the user story, okay, I have to click on create, okay, these are the details. Let's say if you know Jira, if somebody is asking you, giving you this Jira story and asking you to mark it as complete, what you will do, you will open the Jira story, and Jira is very user friendly, where you can go at the top, you can make it as in progress to complete, right? It's a site pretty forward, you don't need to, it's not complex, right? So in the same way, if you go to Copado and somebody is asking to do the commit, you go to user story, and there is a button, commit changes on the user story button, you click on that button, commit changes, and the page will get open, and you will select components, and then again you will do a commit, the user story will get committed. But this process, if you want to do outside, what you have to do, you have to git clone your branch. First you will do, and then you'll create a feature branch, and then you'll try to add the changes to feature branch like git add, git commit, git push, before that git pull, and for anything you go and git log to see that if any commits. In case of conflicts, again you have to resolve that in your local folder for the conflicts. And there is no tracking here. When I say tracking, you have to go to git to check all commits, tracking history, what is committed. But in Copado you have a tracking history as a part of user story. What changes you have done, that will be tracked here as a part of user story. Everything will be there. Everything will be get captured here, and you can check your how much time the deployment is taking place. And if you want to do a delta deployment, if you don't want the whole package to be deployed, if you want a delta deployment, you can just commit changes to one story and then you can do a deployment. And if you want to do delta deployments, that is possible. And some of the features are there in doing using manual deployments using Copado. You have some advantages. I mean, doing outside with Jenkins or other tools with Copado, you have some advantages. Hope I answer your query, or do you still have questions? Let me know. I will try to explain.
No, Chandra, I'm good.
Okay. So this Copado is a package kind of a model. You need to install this package on Salesforce. When I say Salesforce, you need to have a Salesforce production org or a Salesforce separate production org only to install Copado, where the package link will be given by a Copado account manager. You take that package link and then you have to install that package, and then you have to start building your pipeline. And once you start building a pipeline, for the pipeline also you no need to, it's not a rocket science, it's just a configuration. Dev Sandbox, you have to create all the sandboxes which are required, and then you have to create some of the branches in Git, and then those branches you have to configure here. So let's say don't remember it. I will just check whether it will work or not. Okay, try to log in. Alright, so this is a Copado page where you will see in a real time also the same thing. The first thing when you land into Copado, you have to click on the getting started page to get started to Copado. There will be different steps which will guide you to go each and every step. So the one which I am talking about is user stories and the pipelines. So first let me show you pipeline, what exactly the pipeline was built. So if you see the pipeline manager, I have Dev Sandbox is getting connected to INT, and then from INT to stage, and then stage to production. And Dev to Sandbox getting connected to INT, and then to UAT, and then to production. Dev 1, INT, UAT, prod, Dev 2, INT, UAT, prod. And for any fixes, hotfix to production. if I want to set up this pipeline in Copado, you have to go to the pipelines object, and then you have to create these connections, dev1 to INT and INT to UAT and UAT to production. So the first thing, if you want to have Copado authenticated, if you want to have Copado added to this particular instance, then you have to go to credential object. You have to add each sandbox to the credential record. So let's say if you go to credential record, if I want my dev1 sandbox to be configured with Copado, I go to this credential sandbox, I click on new credential, and then I have to give my dev1 credentials, so that, and then I have to click on authenticate to make sure my org is authenticated. Let's say I've created this sandbox, and there is a button called authenticate. So when I click on this authenticate button, it will ask me the username and the password. So once I give my Salesforce username and password, then this org will get added to my Copado instance. The first thing what you have to do is you have to create the credentials or credentials the first thing. And the next thing is that you have to go to pipelines, and in pipelines it will tell you the list number of steps where you can connect. Next thing is that I have connected to my Git repository because I need to connect this to one of my repository to have my code versioning. And if you go back to the pipeline connections, you can see the list of connections that it got created, dev1 to INT. So everything is here. It's a configuration step. You are not writing any code. If somebody is asking you, you have to write a code, it's not needed also, to be frank. But you can write some admin things. If somebody is asking you to write some validation rules or some flows, you can write to make sure as a part of quality control or a quality gates. Like say, if somebody is doing a deployment without PR approval, like pull request approval, you can block them by writing a validation rule. You can do that. And if somebody is having a code coverage 75%, if you want them to have 80%, you can write a validation rule. So some of the Salesforce steps, if you want to write, you can write it. So basic admin is needed on a high level. For example, how to go to the object manager, click on the setup. So this is a gear icon, is nothing but setup. I have to click on the setup button, and I can go for an object manager where I can see the list of objects. Right. So if you want to see a Copado object, I want to go to Copado developer page, like a object. So Copado developer app. So I go to Copado developer, I can see what are the objects that are available for me. The objects are user stories, work managers, sprints, epic teams, test runs, etc. So if I want to create any story, I go to this story. Let's open this story. I created a sample story. So there is a button here, commit changes. So I have to click on this button called commit changes. And let's say if I have developed a custom field, then you can select from the drop down which is showing up in the metadata grid. It takes 2 to 3 minutes of time. Where to show you the list of components here, you need to select these components, and then you need to click on commit changes. So that's where your components will get committed to the user story. And once it is committed, if you want to do a deployment, then just go to click on this build button, deliver, and just click on promote and deploy. Automatically, it does the deployment from your instance to another instance. What it will do, it has mechanism of creating a promotion branch, where that promotion branch changes will get deployed to your next target environment. So it has multiple features. What I can say is that, and if you see the pipeline, dev1 is getting connected to INT, and then INT to UAT, and UAT to production. So what I'm trying to tell you is that everything can be assured through configuration. Everything can be done through a configuration setup. You need to understand how the deployments work and how to set up a pipeline, and what are the issues that you will face post this setup, and what kind of issues will come every time, and how much work we'll be having on the Copado deployment tool. You'll be having a lot of work which you have to do it. You have to do back promotion of the stories, you have to do forward promotion, and as a part of Salesforce DevOps engineer, your roles and responsibilities are you are doing daily deployments, and you are doing weekly releases, and you are doing post-deployment steps on the environment, and you are doing a pre-deployment steps, and you are creating a user on to the lower instance if somebody is asking you, and if you are doing a data loads, and you are doing a Salesforce refreshes when people ask you, and you will debug or you will resolve the platform issues if somebody is asking you something is not working. You need to sit with them and understand, okay, this permission is missing, so you need to work with them. And the backup thing, it relates with you. I mean to say that the backup has to be taken care by your team, and on the governance front, it will be taken by your team. When I say governance, what are the quality gates? Code coverage should be greater than 75%. Code request should be reviewed and approved, and your static code analysis should not have any blockers or vulnerabilities, and your profile changes does not have any modifiable data permission, etc. You have a lot of stuff as a part of quality thing. This comes as a part of COE thing, Center of Excellence. So if somebody is asking you what are the roles and responsibilities, right, you have to tell these many roles that you are working in, so that they will understand that, okay, you have the complete knowledge on the Salesforce DevOps. And if you go outside, you can survive easily if you know all the stuff that you are going to learn as a part of this course. And SFR thing relates with you as a Salesforce DevOps engineer, and manage permissions, it's relates with you. So all these are configuration steps. It's not like you have to write some code or you have to learn some other tool. No, it's a configuration thing. If you do once, second time it is very easy for you. So all these steps will be documented by Confluence page in any of the projects that you are going to work. But if somebody is not making it as a document, if it is a new, then you have to go and implement all this. SSO will be there for sure. If somebody is asking you to create a connected app, you need to help them to create it. And permission thing, they'll give you that how to create the connected app. Also, they'll give you all the steps. So it is something they need somebody's help to do all the steps, because developer will not be given admin access to perform all the steps in production, to make sure that developer is not changing the code directly, or developer is not taking anything into his hand to making the changes. So we need somebody to do the deployments for us, right? So that is where this DevOps engineer role is needed, and that is where it is having a huge demand in the market when it comes to Salesforce, because you cannot do everything to deployment. There are a lot of steps that you have to do using manual. That means you have to perform post-deployment steps. For example, if we take customer community cloud, if somebody is implementing a community cloud, there are a lot of PD steps that you have to execute it. So if you bring Azure DevOps, if you bring Jenkins, if you bring anything, it will not work out. If you try to do automation, maybe I guess 10% may work out, and rest 90% you have to do manual. So that is where this role is needed in the market, and this role is important. Right? Any questions, guys, with respect to this, the demo front? See, when I say demo, I don't want to put it in one topic and tell that, okay, this I'm going to teach you guys. No, I just want to be transparent, because I don't want to cook any stories here. I want to be very transparent so that you will understand, okay, as part of this course, I will learn this. That's it. I don't want to tell something in the demo and later something post the course. So I just want to be transparent to make sure that these are the topics that we are going as a part of the session. On a high level overview, I've given that as a part of the Copado, what is being covered, and what else it's needed is only the Salesforce admin basics is needed for you.
Chandra, this role is a part of the Salesforce developer or admin, or a separate role available?
It's a separate role. It's a separate role available in the market. If you search for Salesforce DevOps engineer in the LinkedIn, or a Salesforce release engineer, assign Copado, or Salesforce DevOps thing, you'll understand the roles and responsibilities. What are the roles that I'm trying to tell you here, right? It will have all the criteria. If you learn this, you can match those. You can search in LinkedIn that if you search for a Salesforce DevOps engineer role, you'll understand that what exactly I'm trying to tell you here. It will match the same thing if you see the responsibilities there. It's a new role.
Okay, got it.
Not recently, it is there from a long time. Yeah, and also if you want to do a data migration thing from one instance to another instance, and they'll give you for DevOps engineer only because you will be having production admin access, right? So they'll give you steps. What steps? You go here, take this Excel sheet, load the data, click on update, next go there. There'll be on screen share also people will be available. So you no need to worry that if I don't know this, there is no worry. You can go and you can say that this step is very confusing for me. I need your help to get this step completed. So this statement will help them to clear your doubt. And next time, once you do for the first time, next time it is very easy for you. Right? Any questions, guys? Are you looking for anything else? Because these are the topics that I'm going to cover in Copado. SFDX deployment using Copado, Salesforce deployment, metadata deployment, and also on the data deployment front, and also on the integration with Jira, and also integration Copado integration with Jira and Copado integration with Azure. We are going to do in two. We are going to do one integration, Copado to Jira, and whereas Azure, I'm going to show you the steps how to do it. But Copado to Jira will do end-to-end step. That means the user story creation process that you are going to do manually in Copado will be done automatic way from Azure or from Jira. Automatic syncing will happen. How to do that I'll show you. And with respect to post steps and post refresh steps, what are the refresh steps that you are going to do? How to update custom settings, custom labels, and remote state settings, and how to build a custom community cloud back again once you've done a refresh, and what are the types of sandboxes available, and what is the difference between each sandbox, and one pipeline, small example, and taking one example like a use case. Let's say if somebody is asking to build a pipeline, how do you build a pipeline with different tools available in the market? Using Copado, how you build it? Using Azure, how you build it? And if no tool is given to you, and how do you manage such kind of things? So just in one session we can talk about those topics as well, and some interview. And with respect to certification, if you want any guidance, I can give you, but the certification is little costly. Any free vouchers, any course if you attend, I mean any classes if you attend, if you get a kind of a free voucher, right? I can try to give you those vouchers also. And I can tell you that if there is any classes available and where you need to attend to get those vouchers also, I can tell you. Right.
So Chandra, Copado itself, yeah, DevOps kind of tools which is useful to create the CI/CD. So what is the purpose of? Actually, I'm not understanding why the Azure DevOps comes into picture here.
Now, some people are asking they want Azure DevOps also to learn how to do deployments using Azure DevOps. So I have some experience working on Azure DevOps with SFDX, so I want to give some knowledge also. Like apart from Copado, they are asking to give me one tool. So I have some experience on Azure DevOps, so where I'm giving this apart from Copado as well.
Oh, oh. I got it.
Any questions? If not, if you still have any doubts, I'll give you my email ID so that if you're really concerned about any topic or anything, just feel free to ping me. And before I think Venkatesh, let me do it again. I guess it's recording. It got dropped off maybe. I guess we can drop off, guys. I guess. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot, Chandra. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.